I welcome you all to the July 15th BSCC meeting. This is an unusual meeting we're having today because it is not regularly scheduled, but it is a meeting that we utilize to primarily focus on what we learned in the budget this year and what obligations we have. And this will be a time where we agendize and create executive steering committees as a result of budget transactions. And I think we have a quick meeting, a quick issue on JAG that we'll address in the future agenda. So Adam, if you wouldn't mind doing the honors and letting everybody know how to access and weigh in on public opinion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I will give brief instructions for this meeting. We are using the Zoom webinar platform. We will support public participation during the meeting. If you are connecting by phone, please be sure to mute your microphones or phone by dialing *6 to mute and unmute. When you are called upon to speak, please eliminate background noise before unmuting your microphone. If we missed you during this meeting, please send a written comment to publiccomment@bscc.ca.gov. That email address is available on our website as well. Board members, if you wish to make a public comment on any of the agenda items, please use the raised hand feature on your Zoom platform or physically raise your hand, and so that we could see you. Members of the public, we will give the members of the public the opportunity to comment after each agenda item. Agenda item 4 is the opportunity for any member of the public to make a comment on any of the agenda items or other comments in general. You will have 2 minutes for your comment. Participants who wish to make a comment, again, that email is publiccomment@bscc.ca.gov. Please send your name and the agenda item you would like to comment on. You can also use the raise hand feature on your Zoom application. If you are calling by phone, again, dial *9 to raise your hand. I will call out the phone number you dialed in with. Unmute your phone by dialing *6. We will lower your hand once your name is received. Madam Chair, that concludes my instructions.
Thank you, Adam. Will you please take the roll call?
Chair Penner.
Present.
Miss Allison is running late. Mr. Verarosa.
Present. She's attempting to log in.
Good.
Great. Mr. Gore.
Present.
Mr. Groudon is absent today. Miss Vernon.
Present.
Miss Guard is absent today. Mr. Mills is absent today. Mr. Budnick.
I am so here.
And Kathy Allison was here in case you called me. I'm sorry, I was having some technical difficulty.
Well, it's because of that ocean view behind you. Yes.
Yes, she just got off. She was finished surfing. Thank God she's here.
Mr. Steinhardt.
Yeah, here.
And Ms. Kumpion.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you may have noticed, Adam called a new board member's name today, and that is retired Judge Janet Guard, who is from the Superior Court in Yolo County. As you know, Judge Barranco stepped down last meeting, and Judge Guard was appointed as of July 1. She's not able to be here today. She already had a scheduled family vacation, and we're looking forward to seeing her in September. Now we move to item 2, information items. We'll start with the information item. Ricardo, will you present on the JAG application for 2019 through 2022?
Yes, happy to. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Ricardo Goodrich with the Corrections Planning and Grants Programs Division, presenting the Edward Burr Memorial Justice Assistance Grant information item. Each year, the Federal Bureau of Justice Assistance releases JAG funding. As a condition of applying, the California JAG application must be made available to board members for review which is why we are presenting this as an information item today. The BSCC's JAG program is in year 2 of a 3-year board-approved plan that covers October 2019 through September 2022. The BSCC is applying for funding to continue its implementation of the existing JAG program. Staff has already begun the process of developing the next state plan for the upcoming JAG grant cycle and will return to the board with additional information at the November 18 board meeting. Madam Chair, this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. And now back to members of the public. If you have not emailed public comment at bscc.ca.gov, you can use the raise the hand feature on your Zoom or dial *9 if you're calling in by phone. I now look to the board. Do you have any questions or comments on the burn JAG item presented by Ricardo? Seeing none.
Oh, that's not none, that's me.
David has a question.
Oh, David didn't use the raise hand thing. He used his actual hand.
His actual hand, which
Yeah,
counts, by the way.
We don't pay attention to actual hands, David. With the raised hand. Actually, he doesn't know emojis. That's fine.
Oh, this is human tech, come on.
Yeah, David.
So first of all, I thought we did a great job back in 2013 when we first converted the JAG program to new purposes and away from an exclusive focus on drug suppression. And Scott Budnick, that was your first ESC. I remember that too. My question is, there's going to be a new survey involving the National Criminal Justice Association? I just was curious what their role is in the evolution of the purposes for the JAG program.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you for that question. Yeah, so the National Criminal Justice Association is a technical assistance provider. So a lot of their role will help us with the actual rollout of the survey, the hosting of the survey, and just some generic formatting. In addition, they're also just a consultant. So as we roll out the survey itself, just making sure that it's consistent and honestly just provides another pair of eyes as well. So they've just been a really good resource that's been available to us.
Does that clear things up for you, David?
Yeah, just wanted that little extra information. Thank you, Ricardo.
All right. Adam, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not for this information item.
All right. We'll then now move on to agenda item A, Senate Bill 823, Senate Bill 92 implementation. This is the secure track, and we are requesting approval. Who's presenting on this? Oh,
That's
Aaron.
Aaron.
I apologize.
Aaron Dwyer.
Yeah.
I'm presenting, Madam Chair. Thank you. Good morning, board members. And I'm Aaron McGuire, General Counsel for the Board of State and Community Corrections. I'm presenting this or co-presenting this on behalf of Allison Ganter, our Deputy Director of the FSO Division, who's had a pre-scheduled vacation as well. I don't think she's with Judge Gard at the moment, but I'm presenting this item on our behalf. As the board, I believe, is aware, there's been a big dramatic change involving DJJ over the last year. Senate Bill 823, which was enacted in 2020, established the timeline for the closure of DJJ. And recently this year, Senate Bill 92 was passed, which was provided some additional cleanup items to SB 823. It also established the ability for counties to establish secured youth treatment facilities. And as part of that legislation, SB 92 requires that counties notify the Board of State Community Corrections of the operation of the facility in a format designated by the board. This item is requesting that the board approve the attached form, which is a part of the agenda, so that counties can submit notice to us to establish these secured youth track facilities. In addition, beginning July 1st, 2022, the BSCC will conduct inspections of each SYTF, as they're called. And by July 1st, 2023, the BSCC will review and establish standards for SYTFs. Until then, the BSCC will review SYTF operations using standards in existing regulations. The BSCC staff will provide status updates to the boards as these activities progress. In terms of the preparation and the design of the form and the proposed notice, board staff worked with board member David Steinhardt on the initial content of the form. It was shared with the Chief Probation Officers of California, who provided feedback to us as well. I would note there was an update to the form that was posted on July 9th. Really sort of a technical language change, which was the prior language suggested that separation between secured youth track facility youth and other youth in the facility would be mandatory, and that's not the case. And so that language was clarified in terms of asking for additional information. Upon receipt of the notices, we will be adding the SYTF to the list of facilities for inspection. We're going to assign facilities a new BSCC number, which is part of just our internal inventory of how we track local detention facilities, and we'll establish the facility's rated capacity. We'll continue to provide updated information at the board's regularly scheduled meetings, as well as on the BSCC website in terms of counties that are establishing these new SYTF facilities. So with that, Madam Chair, staff recommends that the board approve the proposed notice of proposed operation and description of secured youth treatment facility form. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Raising my hand.
Thank you.
I do have some comments, but I'd like to hear if there's public comment first and then comment after that.
Okay, we'll hold Mr. Steinhardt's comments. Anyone else on the board wish to make a comment or have a question? Adam, public comment on this matter.
We currently have 3 public comments. Just a reminder to the public, if you have a public comment on this agenda item A, please use the raise hand feature. I will call out the first name I have on my list. That is Natasha Mejia.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My name is Natasha Mejia. I'm calling on behalf of the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform. The BSCC should make sure that the secure youth treatment facility inspections are transparent and should ensure there is a way for community feedback as well as technical assistance to counties whose plans show their facilities will not protect and support our youth. The BSCC should also work with counties to address community feedback regarding their new secure youth treatment facilities. Lastly, at a minimum, any improvements made through the enhanced inspections process for jails should be applied to juvenile facilities, including the secure youth treatment facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. You're on mute, Adam.
Madam Chair, we have 2 additional commenters. So now we have 4 left. The first one I'm going to call is Dominique Nong for agenda item A.
Good morning, Dominique Nong for the Children's Defense Fund, California. I appreciate the thoughtfulness demonstrated in this form. And I would actually like to suggest 2 specific changes to ensure that the form actually captures the spirit and directives encapsulated in SB 823 and SB 92. And both of these recommendations apply to the space on page 1 in the chart regarding identification of the facility. The first piece is that in the operating agency column, the example given is the probation department. And while I always appreciate giving guidance to those who complete forms, I'm concerned that specifically naming probation and only probation as a sole example could counter the language now in WIC 1875 that clearly states that facilities can be operated by agencies or organizations other than probation. Senate Bill 92 captures a transformative vision for youth justice, and listing probation only encourages the status quo versus adoption of this new vision. It also could cause some confusion among those filling out the form and those trying to implement this bill and this change at the county level. And therefore I request that the example of probation be removed from that column. And in a similar vein, I would also request that the parenthetical explanation in the facility type column be removed because it again promotes the status quo of incarceration of youth, and particularly the idea of what counts as secure being only juvenile halls and camps. And finally, I would request that the field representatives follow up with counties to ensure that answers are robust and specific enough so that staff and the board have a good understanding of what's going on in these facilities to help inform the later development of the standards that will apply to these facilities as required by SB 92. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Aditi for agenda item A.
Hi, good morning. Aditi Sharakar from Children's Defense Fund California as well. So in the interest of transparency, I would urge the BSCC to make copies of these county notices available on your website as soon as you receive them, and then alert your listserv that they have been made available so that the community and stakeholders will have an opportunity to see what the counties are proposing to do specifically for this population. And it won't be enough just to make these notices available. The BSCC should also give the public adequate time and opportunity to raise concerns about the content and the answers that are given by the counties in these notices. And it'd be really great if the BSCC could then work with the counties and provide technical assistance that's based on that community feedback so that the new secure youth treatment facilities are responsive to community needs and feedback. And finally, I know advocates have consistently been raising concerns about the quality of the BSCC's inspections process. So I would request at a minimum that any improvements that are made through the enhanced inspections process for the jails be applied to juvenile facilities, especially these secure youth treatment facilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Hyla Ganton.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hyla Gantan, and I am a policy advocate with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. We strongly urge that the BSCC should make this process transparent and help to circle back on communication with the community. We believe that copies of county notices should be accessible on their website as soon as the information is published, and also to make sure that there are listservs that will help to bring attention to the matters. We also believe that the BSCC should provide and give public notice for a way for the public to raise concerns, and also that BSCC should work with counties and community groups to address community feedback regarding the new secure youth treatment facilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, we have Renee Menart.
Good morning, Renee Menart with the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. I'd like to just agree with what my colleagues have said with regards to the need for a transparent process. I really do appreciate the alerts that the BSCC gives out with certain important events and opportunities for community engagement. And I do strongly recommend that the BSCC provide those county notices through the BSCC website, which serves as a resource across the counties rather than having folks need to go through a patchwork of information at the county level. So I do agree with the need for community notices to be provided by the BSCC and to alert the listserv when that is done. I'd also like to uplift just a couple of remaining questions that stand out with the form as is. And these are things that I would recommend being incorporated into the form in order to ensure that we have a full picture of how counties are developing their secure youth treatment facilities. And so in particular, in addition to what Dominique Nong mentioned about the need to take out parentheticals that overly guide counties or narrow the lens through which they can provide the secure youth treatment facilities, I recommend addressing questions including what outcome measures, if any, are built into the secure youth treatment facility program, and also what will the secure youth treatment facility do to build in movement of youth to a less restrictive setting at the earliest appropriate time? These two are key questions that need to be addressed by counties when developing their secure youth treatment facilities because they're integral to implementing it in a way that reflects the goals of SB 823 and SB 92. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes the public comments.
And I'm going to now go back to the board. David, are you ready to make some?
Yeah, sure. So thank you, and thanks for the public comment as well. And so this is an important step because July 1st marked the close of intake at DJJ, and these local secure youth treatment facilities are essentially the replacement for DJJ at the local level. And a fundamental feature that is designed to prevent the transfer of youth at higher offense levels to adult criminal courts. So each county's development of a secure youth treatment facility is important. And Senate Bill 92 sort of starts off the BSCC part of that process with this notice and description requirement in SB 92. So I did work with the staff and the management team on developing the format we have here in the description. I feel that it is pretty robust in terms of the information that BSCC will get, providing baseline information on the facility, its location, the population served, the staffing, separation, and other critical factors. You know, I think it's really important to recognize that this is just the first step on a long road of oversight and development of the secure youth treatment facilities. And I think that some of the additional information that advocates would like to include at this stage is more appropriately developed in the regulation phase. So BSCC by 2023 has to adopt standards, statutory requirement standards that are specific to these secure youth treatment facilities. So issues around schooling and outcome measures and so on really should be more thoroughly developed at that stage, and maybe less so in the notice stage now. And I really hope that the advocates will be full participants in that process. On the changes Dominique has recommended, you know, I'm not really troubled by the EG probation department proposed change, but under facility type, I wouldn't mind changing it so that it doesn't even seem to imply that it has to be a juvenile hall or camp. It could be changed to EG juvenile hall camp other. And so I would recommend that minor adjustment to take into account the concern that was expressed. So bottom line is, I think that the proposed notice format and description are more than adequate for the statutory purpose. With a little recommended change, I would support its adoption by the board. And I also want to say I support the recommendations that these notices be made public and put on the website. And I hope that that's implicit in the process that we have.
Thank you, David. My reaction to the website publication was it does seem implicit to me that I think that would clearly be something that we would do. It is our practice, and as we try to remain as transparent as possible. In terms of your suggestion to the motion and to the form, we'll hold that in just a moment to see if any other board members have any comments or suggestions. I'm seeing none. And so I think what would be best here is for David to restate the motion for approval with his suggested e.g. juvenile halls, camps, and others.
I'll move approval of the staff recommendation with the recommended change that under the column for facility type, that the language juvenile hall camp be modified to say e.g., comma, juvenile hall / camp / other, parentheses, and move approval on that basis.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Adam, would you take the roll?
Madam Chair, this is Katie. Before we do that, I just want to reassure the board members and the members of the public that it is our intention to post those on the website. I don't think this needs to go into the motion, but I want to work with our communication staff and our website folks to make sure there's a way that that's easily accessible for anyone who's interested in this. So that's certainly part of what we plan to do.
Thank you, Katie. Adam?
Chair Penner?
Aye.
Miss Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Villarosa?
I approve with modification as stated by David Steinhardt.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Miss Vernon?
Aye.
Mr. Budnick?
Aye.
Mr. Steinhardt?
Aye.
Ms. Kumpion?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Adam. And just a final kind of closing statement on this item. We knew when the form was developed that this is going to be an evolutionary process, and we commit to remaining vigilant and making sure that we're covering all the bases as we begin this July 1. My compliments and to all that worked on it. And we quickly got the form out. We had a number of people take a hard look at it. And so to staff and everybody involved, thank you for getting this done so expediently. Moving now to agenda item B, the California Violence Intervention Prevention Grant Program, or as we call it, CalVIP. I'm going to invite Katrina Jackson. Let's see, I thought I saw you there. Hi, where we got Katrina?
I'm here, Madam Chair.
There you are. Oh, I'm looking high or low. Again today, and we're going to be requesting approval on this item. Katrina, would you move forward and present for us?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Katrina Jackson, Field Representative with the Corrections Planning and Grant Programs Division. I am here to present Agenda Item B. Agenda Item B requests your approval to begin the grant making process by establishing an executive steering committee to observe the development of a request for proposal for the California Violence Intervention and Prevention Grant, also known as the CalVIP grant.
Katrina, I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want to just flag this. This is a grant that's going to cities and community-based organizations. I just want to alert board members Budnick and Kupion. This grant, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition has not applied for, is not currently a grant. I do not know if they expect to apply for this, but I wanted just to flag it for you in advance in the event you wanted to recuse yourselves.
I think just for, I don't know what their plans are, but as a board member, I'll recuse.
Thank you. And looks like that was the way of indicating Ms. Kumpion is going to recuse as well. Thanks, Katrina.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you. This grant program received a very significant funding rate increase this year, which I will review in just a moment. As a brief background on the purpose of this grant, CalVIP grants shall be used to support, expand, and replicate evidence-based violence reduction initiatives, including but not limited to hospital-based violence intervention programs, evidence-based street outreach programs, and focused deterrent strategies. Today, I'm requesting that you designate a chair to direct the process and authorize staff to work with the chair in establishing an executive steering committee that is diverse in background with relevant subject matter expertise to include individuals who have been directly impacted by violence. The CalVIP grant program will receive a one-time increase of $200 million over the next 3 fiscal years, which includes $67 million in fiscal year 21-22, $67 million in fiscal year 22-23, and $66 million in fiscal year 23-24. In addition, BSCC anticipates receiving its annual $9 million allocation. So in total, BSCC plans to allocate $227 million over the next 3 years, providing funding as appropriated in the next 3 state budget acts. Eligibility to apply for CalVIP funding is limited to 2 types of entities: California cities that are disproportionately impacted by violence and the community-based organizations that serve them. Successful city applicants must pass through at least 50% of CalVIP funds awarded to 1 or more community-based organization. All successful applicants must provide a 100% cash or in-kind match, and BSCC must offer a non-competitive grant in the amount of $2 million per year to the City of Los Angeles. Staff will work according to the tentative timeline provided on page 2 of Agenda Item B. And in conclusion, staff recommends that the board appoint a chair for the CalVIP Grant Executive Steering Committee, designate authority to the chair to work with BSCC staff to establish an ESC with relevant background and expertise, and to modify membership if needed, approve the proposed activities and tentative timeline associated with development of the RFP, and authorize the ESC to oversee the development of the CalVIP request for proposal and make funding recommendations. This concludes my report, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Katrina. As an aside for the board, I reached out to Chief Andrew Mills in Santa Cruz. It's on our board, and he has agreed to chair this ESC, and I'm happy about that. He's done excellent work in the past for us, and I think he'll do that again on this effort. So to the board now, any comments, questions?
A point of information from Katie, Madam Chair. I just wanted to alert the board members and the public that Adam Lewin circulated a written public comment that we received on this item. It came in from Gabriel Garcia, who is with an organization called Youth Alive in Oakland. And it is the bottom line message is an expression of gratitude for this program and the request that we begin work on the grant program as soon as possible, and which brings us right back to the beginning of the hour and the reason we do these July board meetings. So I just wanted to acknowledge and make the board members aware of that written comment.
Thank you. Back to the board. Seeing no questions or comments, I would then ask Adam, any public comments on this item?
Madam Chair, at this time, I have 2 public comments. So if anyone is out there who would like to make a public comment, please use the raised hand feature or send an email. Right now we have 4 public comments. So I'm going to call the first one. That would be Natasha.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. It's Natasha Mejia again, calling on behalf of the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform. As I'm sure you are well aware that we're currently in the midst of a gun violence emergency, and we need to quickly and efficiently distribute as much funds as possible to support effective violence reduction strategies. However, the proposed timeline does not appear to reflect this urgency. I'm here today to reiterate to the BSCC of the current crisis our cities are facing and the need to quickly roll out funds to communities throughout California. Thank you.
Next, we have Jesse Warner. Jesse, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I've unmuted myself. Can you hear me? Wonderful. My name is Jessie Warner. I'm with the City of Oakland's Department of Violence Prevention. It's good to see everyone. Thank you for your great work and for your continued support using CalVIP for the City of Oakland's violence prevention and intervention efforts. Similar to what you've heard from the other speakers in the letter that was provided by Youth Alive, which is one of our funded partners, we really do urge you to take action as soon as possible to get these funds into our communities. Oakland in particular has seen a huge spike in shootings and homicides, over 90% year over last year. Right now, we're already on par to have more homicides than we did in the entire year in 2018 or 2017, which are really some of our benchmark years for great reduction. And so we've had over 68 homicides just in this first 6 months. So this crisis is very much being felt here on the streets, and we would appreciate that any efforts to either use existing grantees to pass funds through, similar to the way you asked counties and others to do with Prop 47 funds, to use existing contracts to get these funds out as quickly as possible, and or to just consider even going further down the list on the RFQ from this last time where we were successful, and there may be other really great proposals that have not yet received funding. So there may be details in the works in that regard. We're not seeing it yet in this proposal. We would really encourage you to look to getting those funds out now, as opposed to waiting until 2 years from now, or a year plus from now. Thank you all.
Okay, Madam Chair, next we have Gabriel Garcia. Gabriel, you want to go ahead?
Yes, I wanted to thank again Katie Howard for uplifting my written comments. To expand on what she had already shared, I wanted to again offer the recommendation that because of the spike in violence that we are seeing right now, not only in Oakland, but in communities all across the state, being able to augment existing contracts for applications and grantees who have already been vetted, approved, and have shown that they can take on these funds and opt in to additional funding, especially under the new funding cap of $2 million per year for grantees, would be one way to release these funds immediately to make sure that they are reaching communities that are really impacted by current spikes in violence, and then continue the proposed timeline in a bifurcated process would be one way to really address the need equitably and make sure that we can get these dollars out to communities as swiftly as possible. Thank you.
Madam Chair, lastly, we have Mike McLively.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Mike McLively. I'm with Giffords. We're a national gun violence prevention organization. I'm based in California. I've served on the CalVIP Executive Steering Committee for the last few years. Just a few very quick points. I wanted to thank staff of the BSCC and this board for the work that's been done on CalVIP. I think the increase in funding reflects the great work that you all have done on this important program. And I just wanted to underscore the points. I think they've already been made very clearly and well that there is a crisis in our communities right now around violence. So this funding and these resources are needed as soon as possible. I think you all understand that. I also wanted to just add national context that this is not in any way unique to California. The entire country has seen unprecedented spikes in community violence. In cities of any political spectrum, we're seeing this across the country with very few exceptions. So I just want to underscore, I'm very clear that I think this is tied to COVID and the impacts it's had on our communities, not to reforms that California and other areas have been, engaged in. So I just wanted to provide the extra national context. And I know we mentioned in the comments that the proposed timeline is just that, a proposed timeline. So I just want to encourage staff and the board to look at ways of expediting getting these resources to the community. And thank you again for the work you've been doing on this program. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes the public comments.
Thank you. And certainly we've taken to heart everybody's comments and the overwhelming suggestion that we are as expedient as possible. I can already tell you that staff has been working feverishly on this, and the quick establishment of an executive steering committee and having a chair, I can commit to all of you that we'll take into account all the suggestions that we heard just now, implement those that it is possible to implement. It's clear to us by the enormous fiscal contribution the governor's office has made to this effort that they too are aware of that, and we will work as fast and as feverishly as we can to get that out to the communities. Any other board member comments on this issue? Any questions? I'm now looking for a motion and a second, please.
Gore. So moved, Sheriff Gore.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Steinhardt will second.
Thank you, Mr. Steinhardt. We have a motion and a second. Adam, please take the.
And just to clarify the motion, it's to establish the ESC and to appoint Chief Mills as the chair of that ESC.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you, Adam.
Chair Penner?
Aye.
Ms. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Villarosa?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Vernon?
Aye.
Mr. Budnick recused. Mr. Steinhardt?
Aye.
And Ms. Kumbian recused. The vote is 6. Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you. Can we invite Mr. Budnick and Ms. Kupion back, please?
Very briefly, Madam Chair, but we're gonna ask them to recuse on this next item as well.
We have to have them here before we can kick them out. So, while we are finding our board members, we are moving on to item C. We got anybody? All right, we'll just move forward. Item C, presenting, I think I see Tanya there. A little wave, Tanya.
And Mr. Budnick's back, so let's pause and see if.
Okay.
Hi, Scott. We're about to say bye, Scott, we think.
Yeah, I think you're going to be recusing yourself on this item. And I see Norma back. So both Norma and Scott are back with us. And the next item, item C, the adult reentry grant, the appointment of a chair and the establishment of ESC, we suspect will be something that you will be interested in, your agency, in applying for. And so we'd invite you again to recuse yourselves should you deem necessary. There we go. There goes Scott. Norma's waving goodbye. Okay. And I would, now Tanya, we begin presentation on the item, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I am Tanya Hill, and I am presenting agenda item C, which is requesting board approval to create an executive steering committee that will oversee the development of a request for proposal process for the Adult Reentry Grant Program. The Adult Reentry Grant Program, or ARG as we call it, provides funding for community-based organizations to deliver reentry services for people coming out of state prison. The ARG program was established in the 2018 Budget Act and received additional funding through the Budget Acts of 2019 and 2020. The Budget Act of 2021 appropriated $67 million to the BSCC to administer the ARG program. This includes $37 million in ongoing funding and a one-time increase in this year's budget of $30 million. The $67 million in funding is to be allocated as follows: $33,500,000 for rental assistance, $33,500,000 to support the warm handoff and reentry of those transitioning from prison to communities, and up to 5% to the BSCC for costs to administer the grant programs and report on program outcomes. Funding for this project is available for expenditure through June 30th, 2024. The Budget Act further directs the board to form an executive steering committee to oversee the development of a request for proposals, or RFP, with members from relevant state agencies and departments with expertise in public health, housing, workforce development, and rehabilitative treatment. There will be opportunities for stakeholder and public input into the development of the ARG program throughout the process, and upon the board's approval of this agenda item, staff will post information about this ESC on the BSCC website. In conclusion, staff is recommending that the board appoint a chair to the Adult Reentry Grant Program Executive Steering Committee, delegate authority to the chair to work with BSCC staff to establish an ESC with relevant subject matter expertise and to modify membership if needed, approve the proposed activities and tentative timeline associated with the development of the RFP, and authorize the ESC to oversee the development of the Adult Reentry Grant RFP and make funding recommendations. This concludes my presentation, and I am happy to take any questions you may have. Madam Chair, you are on mute.
I'm hearing a lot of background noise, so I want it to be less irritating than I am in person. Thank you, Tanya. Chief Vernon has agreed to chair this effort, and I want to express my gratitude for her taking this on. It's a large job. I just finished it a few months ago, so understanding what we've asked you to do, thank you in advance of all your hard work for doing this. I'd now look to any board members for questions or comments.
Madam Chair, Miss Allison had a question.
Secretary Allison?
Get off mute. I apologize. So just for a point of clarification for myself, is this for both PRCS population as well as DAPO, or is it just for, is it for both populations?
Yes.
And is there a research component to see if it reduces recidivism?
I see that we're charged with some outcome measures, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, I'm not certain if it looks at recidivism specifically. Tanya, Katie, anything?
Pardo has some information.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, no, it does not require us to look at recidivism.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Moving now to the public comment.
Madam
Adam?
Chair, we do not have public comment for this item.
Okay, thank you. Back to the board. I'm looking for a motion and a second, please.
I move to appoint a chair and establish the executive steering committee for the adult reentry grant program.
Thank you. Second?
I second. it.
Second.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Got that? Second, whomever it was that they identified as the second. And I would ask Adam to take roll, please.
Chair Penner,
Aye.
Ms. Allison,
Aye.
Mr. Villarosa,
Aye.
Mr. Gore,
Aye.
Ms. Vernon,
Aye.
Mr. Budnick recused, Mr. Steinhardt,
Aye.
Ms. Kumpion recused. Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Can we invite our recusals back? As we move to item D, which will be presented by Ricardo Goodrich. Ricardo, you had kind of a starring role in this meeting, I'd like to point out.
Not by choice.
And before we begin this item, Madam Chair, I've advised that Secretary Allison and Director Villarosa recuse themselves on this item. It's not a financial conflict of interest. However, this will provide money for, as will be explained, for work that will fund petitions pursuant to Penal Code Section 1170D. The Secretary of CDCR has a specific enumerated role in that process. So at this time, I would advise that our CDCR members recuse themselves.
Okay, looking to see if we have, there's Scott and Kelly both, no, Scott, and we're looking for, I'm only saying Kelly out loud because she never thanked me for the opportunity to chair the ESC, so I'm sort of, still just.
I did thank you last week.
Oh, yeah, well, the good point. I have a short memory. Let's see.
And Norma's back with us too, Linda.
Yeah, I'm looking for Norma. There she is. Okay, thank you. Okay, Ricardo, agenda item D, Public Defense Pilot Program Funding Recommendations.
Thank you again. And again, good morning, Madam Chair and board members. Ricardo Goodrich presenting agenda item D, the Public Defense Pilot Program. This agenda item requests board approval to allocate $49.5 million in state funding to California counties for indigent defense services in fiscal year 2021-2022. Now, subject to future appropriations, the BSCC anticipates receiving $49.5 million in each of the next 2 budget years for a total allocation of $148.5 million. An additional $500,000 is available in each fiscal year for grant administration and evaluation for a total of $1.5 million. Per the 2021 State Budget Act, eligible recipients of the funds include public defenders, alternate defenders, and other qualifying entities that provide indigent defense services in criminal matters. Now, the BSCC has calculated the amount of funding each county is eligible to receive by dividing the $49.5 million by the county's share of the total adult population using the 2021 projected population figures from the Department of Finance. For reference, please see attachment D2. These calculations were done in consultation with the State Public Defender's Office and the Department of Finance. The amount of funding available to counties ranges from $1,500 to $12.7 million. Staff recommends that the board approve the Public Defense Pilot Program funding recommendations, direct staff to continue to work with the Office of the State Public Defender to identify the appropriate county entities that provide the eligible indigent defense services authorized by the pilot program, and authorize staff to contract for an independent evaluation of the pilot program. Madam Chair, this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking to the board now for any questions or comments on this item. Seeing none, Adam, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not have public comment for this item.
Okay, back to the board. I'm looking for a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second, Sheriff Gore.
All right, we have a motion second. Adam, please take roll.
Chair Penner,
Aye.
Miss Allison and Mr. Verarosa recused. Mr. Gore,
Aye.
Miss Vernon,
Aye.
Mr. Budnick,
Aye.
Mr. Steinhardt,
Aye.
Miss Kumpion.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe that was our last agenda item for this meeting, and now we are moving to the portion of the meeting where we are allowing any public comment on any item and looking to see if we have anybody in the queue, Adam.
At this time, I have one. That would be Brian Goldstein.
Okay.
Good morning, Brian Goldstein with the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. Once again, we come before the board asking why this agency's field inspectors are missing serious issues in county jails that have fatal consequences. This week, a San Diego Union Tribune investigation found that the San Diego Sheriff's Department failed to conduct safety checks in 2020. A deputy sheriff failed to conduct a mandatory safety check on an individual who died from a drug overdose in January 2020. The deputy spent, quote, approximately 1 second looking into the cell. Per the article, this is the third time in less than 3 years that the county's local review board has highlighted issues with the department's safety checks. Now we see that the BSCC's inspections on June 20th, 2020, just a few months after this incident, missed these issues entirely. We encourage the board and the public to look at the BSCC's field inspection report alongside this recent article. It's alarming. Attorneys, journalists, they've been highlighting this problem for years, where deputies would barely glance inside cells. They'd falsely log checks, or they'd allow way too much time between checks. How can we have any trust in the BSCC's field inspections when they continue to miss these issues? And we ask, how can the agency explain this problem? Thank you.
Anyone else in the queue, Adam?
Yes, I have one in the queue. That would be Michael Tovar.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Tovar, and I am speaking on behalf of the Foothill House of Hospitality. I am making a comment to, I guess, echo the recommendation of my colleagues to allow current CalVIP recipients to increase their current award amount to reflect the new awards that are upcoming in the next 3 fiscal years to combat violence that is going on in both our cities and counties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, at this time, I have no other comments from the public.
Thank you. Back to the board. Any questions, comments? Okay. I then would like to adjourn this meeting and thank you all for attending, and we will be back together in this formal meeting setting on September 16th, 2021. And just so you know, at that point, we're going to take a hard look at whether or not we're going to be in person, in Zoom, or a hybrid of one or the other. So news to follow on that subject matter. Appreciation to each of you for attending and helping us. This is really important work we're doing right now. And I think we're moving the agenda on these items as fast as we can. So with no further ado, thank you all, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Madam
Thanks,
Chair.
Linda.